off all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night Starcraft.
vVv gaming themselves in-house, but they also invite some of their friends, and I know that some of the vVv players have been involved in those practice sessions where they pit two players and then there's like 7 or 8 observers that talk about the strategy. So I know Rocker's been a part of those. I think a few of the other vVv players have as well, just because of Rocker's connection with iNcontrol. So we actually have the pretty much same starting locations here, colors and positions for both players, with iNcontrol spawning as the red Protoss in the north, and his brother vVv's Rocker spawning as the purple Protoss, pretty in purple, in the south.
Yeah, so it is going to be Protoss versus Protoss cross spawns here, and because of the elevated natural expansion, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to be aggressive. Force fields, well-placed force fields can split an army pretty easily, and we'll see whether or not we actually get into the later tech. I do expect some sort of 4-gate variation by chance, maybe a 3-gate plus a robotics facility versus a Twilight Council Blink Stalker play. That's really where Protoss versus Protoss has evolved as of late, as both players pretty much opening up with the same exact build. You can see them almost using their chrono boost at the same exact time as well. So these brothers know their openings pretty much mirrored.
Well, opening's pretty simple for Protoss. You usually start out with one of the pylons and then start chronoing the Nexus, because that's about all you can chrono. But both players starting with the pylon close to their Nexus, so not going to have any sort of cheese play. And we saw that the first, right before we had to regame there, both players did start out with the pylon in base, so it's not like they were going to do some sort of proxy cheese play, and that was foiled by that forced regame. And both players adding their gas about the same time, so we'll see where it starts to deviate. Already we do have iNcontrol sending an early scout, with Rocker not scouting yet.
Yeah, so with iNcontrol going for this earlier scout, we'll see what he finds and how he reacts to Rocker's opening. He is going to be a little bit behind in terms of minerals, but we also see that Rocker has just scouted out as well, and we'll see if Rocker gets denied any scouting information, as pretty much the builds are still pretty much identical. iNcontrol a little bit delayed in that second pylon just because he did scout out with that probe a little bit faster. The probe trying to get some damage onto that pylon, but I believe some probes or even a zealot or stalker should be coming out of that gateway shortly, and that probe will pretty much have to run and turn its tail home.
Yeah, the one thing about the forced cross spawns here is you know exactly where your opponent's gonna spawn. So iNcontrol sends that scout, and on a 4-player map, sending that scout around that time, not a bad idea, because you get the scout early, as we see Rocker's probe taken down by iNcontrol in his base. But in these MLG positions, having the probe in your opponent's base that early doesn't really give you that much extra information. So iNcontrol gives up a little bit of early economy for that probe, which didn't give him too much info.
Yeah, but right now iNcontrol is slightly ahead. He still has the probe alive, and that is going to be huge, as it's most likely going to end up delaying Rocker into actually showing what he's going to go for. Rocker right now trying to warp in another pylon, but that probe must have some sort of spider sense in being able to block that pylon, as the probe now retreats and a zealot is making its way in. The key point is that iNcontrol, by not losing this probe, can set up a proxy pylon, and he should be able to warp in additional units, as we now see 2 additional gateways being warped in, and perhaps a third for a potential 4-gate harassment.
So it's going to be a 4-gate. There's a gateway by Rocker at the top of the ramp, and it looks like he's going to be shooing away that zealot. We do have iNcontrol, who's has a second stalker on the way, so he's going to be up in units. And we do have a sentry coming out for Rocker, so he's going to try to use that sentry to get force fields off, and a low ground pylon right by Rocker's base. We'll see whether that's able to finish. The sentry's out. It will be able to force field, but there is the probe in the base of Rocker, so he's going to be able to warp on the high ground as long as that probe is up in Rocker's base.
Yeah, and right now iNcontrol also warping in 2 pylons straight in the base as well. Rocker not being careful with his probes. He needs to start surrounding. This is looking really, really bad. Warp gate tech. Is it quite done? No, it doesn't seem like it's done. 1 pylon will go down. A second pylon may get taken down as well. A stalker now trying to come in here, and Rocker does not have anywhere to go with this 1 stalker, as now there are zealots inside the base. Zealot's gonna run in after those probes. The Stalkers are currently stuck as the Warp Gate tech is now finishing. Stalkers against Zealots inside the base here. Perhaps the probes will come off the mineral line. There you go. They are engaging back and forth. The Zealots trying to find their way against the Stalker, but unable to do so. And Zealot after Zealot is falling as Rocker is holding position with his one or two Stalkers here, but that Artosis pylon may get destroyed.
Yeah, the Artosis pylon does go down. 3 of the warp gates no longer functional for Rocker, and this is just disaster for Rocker. He's gonna have to try to fight against these units for iNcontrol. He does have the sentry, so he can get another force field, but iNcontrol has that high ground sight, so he is gonna be able to warp onto that high ground. Still a Zealot, number of Stalkers picking off, trying to go for those warp gates. Rocker doing his best to power these warp gates once again. Places a pylon there, but I'm not sure if it will finish. iNcontrol very low on minerals, so I'm not sure if he's gonna be able to keep up this aggression. He did do some economic damage. It is 20 probes to 15, and he is still knocking at the front door of Rocker. The pylon does finish powering 2 of the warp gates, and Rocker somehow holds this.
So Rocker right now, he can either just warp in sentries because he has a lot of gas. Actually, no, he can only warp in Zealots. He doesn't have the gas. Meanwhile, iNcontrol is going to lose this pylon, but Rocker is behind 17 to 22 probes. And this game is far from over now that the initial cheese has been dealt with.
Yes, certainly. It was crazy that Rocker, using that hold position on the probes, the Zealots, the AI, sort of glitched out a little bit. He probably would have killed another 7 or 8 probes if he just auto attacked with those Zealots rather than trying to attack the Stalkers. I think iNcontrol mishandled that a little bit, but he still did a ton of damage. We see that 10 probes went down 10 probes killed by iNcontrol, and it's 26 to 21. And iNcontrol can come with some sort of secondary timing here after he macros up a little bit. It looks like right now, not quite sure what he's going to be going for. He has thrown down the robotics, which is going to make him basically cheese-proof. No sort of DT play is going to make him lose this game, but he does have a slight advantage over his brother Rocker.
Yeah, right now you see iNcontrol setting up a proxy pylon here at the 6 o'clock third base location. We'll see what comes of that. Perhaps just a little bit of scout or a Stargate could come in, but we do see a warp prism now coming in from iNcontrol. So it looks like iNcontrol gonna follow up that pylon in base with now a warp prism in base, and this may be disastrous.
It certainly might be, because Rocker has chosen this opportunity to expand, and this is a pretty big risk by him, but I like this play. When you're behind, especially by how much he was earlier, you have to do some sort of risk and hope that you can hold on to whatever sort of all-in comes, because if you don't, you're just going to be behind by just a little bit more and a little bit more as the game moves on. So Rocker, using these Stalkers and the Observer in his base, actually might be scouting for this Warp Prism, but this Warp Prism about to land in the mineral line of Rocker.
Yeah, the iNcontrol now going to just drop in 4 straight Zealots and then warp in additional units. There you go. The probes all of a sudden all running. Only 1 probe has been taken out. More units now warping in as well. The Stalkers are going to get up as we now see the Nexus is about to complete, so that may actually be a benefit as 1 pylon may get taken out. Down it goes. The Warp Prism still warping in more units. Zealots are getting picked apart. Long distance mining, and now the Stalkers and Zealots are engaging. This is looking pretty bad though, as iNcontrol does have more units inside here. Are we going to get perhaps some force fields to stop those Stalkers from engaging? No force fields as of yet, as the sentry now trying to push away. There's engagement on the front door as well, as finally a force field preventing a Zealot from retreating, but now still units coming in on the front door.
Yeah, iNcontrol trying to focus down these pylons as well, so he's depowering these warp gates. He's going to try to just basically overpower Rocker by taking out his production structures. Right now, Rocker just has 2 warp gates. One of them is solely powered by this pylon, which is about to go down. Rocker just has 1 warp gate, 1 robotics, which is not working on anything. He's supply blocked as well. iNcontrol still has this warp prism in the base of Rocker, and I think this is going to spell GG for Rocker, as he was able to hold off that initial pressure by iNcontrol, but now this follow-up by iNcontrol with the warp prism play and the 2-prong pressure, taking out all the production of Rocker, takes down Rocker. There's the GG.